The void above Karth Prime burned with silent fire as broken ships drifted across the stars. Smoke rolled from shattered stations while emergency lights flashed over the dark side of the planet. Every world inside the Alliance had watched the battle through live feeds, and every world believed the same thing. Humanity had failed to arrive in time. The enemy fleet had entered the system 3 days earlier. Their banners carried the mark of the Dominion, a brutal empire that measured worth through combat. They conquered planets by forcing champions into battle. If a world lost its greatest warrior, the population surrendered without resistance. Karth Prime had no answer for them. Its armies were exhausted after years of raids. Its defenses had collapsed within hours. Cities hid beneath shields, while orbital guns fell silent one by one. The Dominion commander gave the people a final chance. Send out a champion. The demand echoed across every screen on the planet. If Karth Prime refused, the fleet would begin planetary fire. No one volunteered. The greatest fighters of the Alliance had already died in earlier wars. Military leaders argued through sleepless nights while panic spread across the streets. Réfugiés qu'on overflowed. Children cried inside underground shelters while elders prayed for rescue from Earth. Humanity had promised aid months earlier. A warship named Resolute was supposed to arrive before the Dominion fleet. But hyperspace storms delayed the vessel far beyond the outer sectors. The Dominion commander laughed during his final broadcast. Humans speak loudly about honor and courage. Yet when war arrives, they hide behind distance and excuses. His words spread across every channel. Then someone answered. Not a general, not a famous soldier. A single human marine stepped forward from the ruins of a damaged transport station near the capital city. His name was Elias. No legendary title followed him. No medals covered his uniform. His armor was scratched from old battles and sealed with rough repairs. He had arrived months earlier with a supply convoy and became stranded after pirate attacks destroyed his ship. Most people never noticed him. Until that moment. The council stared in disbelief when the transmission reached them. The Marine stood alone in a maintenance bay with a rifle hanging at his side. "I'll fight," he said calmly. The council demanded identification. Elias simply shrugged. Former boarding unit. Earth Fleet Reserve. One council member nearly shouted in frustration. "You're not a champion." "Neither was the first human who climbed a mountain," Elias replied. Silence followed. The Dominion accepted the challenge immediately. Their chosen champion was a giant called Vark, undefeated across 40 systems. He stood nearly 3 meters tall and carried armor forged from black steel. Stories claimed he once defeated an entire rebel squad with his bare hands. Crowds gathered inside the shattered arena outside the capital. Broken statues surrounded the field while damaged floodlights illuminated the night. The Dominion fleet projected the duel across nearby systems for entertainment. Many expected the battle to end within seconds. Elias entered the arena without music or ceremony. He carried no massive weapon, only a combat knife and a compact rifle across his back. His movements appeared relaxed, almost careless. Vark stepped onto the field moments later. The ground shook beneath his boots. The alien champion raised a massive spear and roared toward the sky. Dominion soldiers screamed his name while Alliance citizens watched in despair. The duel began. Vark attacked first. His spear crashed downward with enough force to crack stone, but Elias rolled aside before impact. Dust exploded into the air. The human moved quickly, circling the giant fighter while studying every motion. Vark laughed. "You run well for prey." Elias answered with silence. The giant swung again and again. Each strike destroyed pieces of the arena floor. Elias dodged every blow with narrow movements, never wasting energy. The audience slowly realized something strange. The human was learning. Every dodge brought him closer. Every step forced Vark to adjust. Minutes passed. The Dominion soldiers stopped cheering. Vark suddenly lunged forward with frightening speed, driving Elias against a ruined pillar. The spear sliced across the Marine's shoulder armor, and sparks burst through the air. Blood touched the stone floor. The crowd gasped. Vark lifted the spear for a killing strike. Then Elias smiled. The Marine grabbed the broken pillar and kicked upward with both legs. The ancient stone collapsed directly onto Vark's back. The giant stumbled for the first time in years. Elias moved instantly. His knife struck between two armor plates near the alien's neck. Vark roared in pain and hurled Elias across the arena. The human crashed hard against debris, but rolled back on his feet before the dust settled. Now the giant looked angry. Very angry. The next attack came like a storm. Vark abandoned careful strikes and charged forward with savage force. Entire sections of the arena shattered beneath his assault. Elias retreated across broken ground while searching for opportunity. The audience believed the end had finally come. Then Vark made one mistake. He underestimated a human. The giant drove his spear forward with all his strength. Elias sidestepped at the final instant. The weapon pierced deep into damaged machinery buried beneath the arena floor. The spear locked in place. Vark pulled once, twice. It would not move. Elias fired his rifle. 3 shots echoed across the arena. One shattered the giant's helmet visor. One destroyed his shoulder joint. The final round struck directly through his eye. Vark collapsed like a falling tower. Silence covered the battlefield. No one moved. The Dominion soldiers stared in horror at the body of their undefeated champion. Alliance citizens struggled to understand what they had witnessed. A stranded human marine had defeated the greatest warrior of the Dominion alone. Elias stood breathing heavily beside the corpse. Blood covered his armor, and smoke drifted from his rifle barrel. He looked toward the enemy fleet hanging above the planet. "Send another," he said. Fear spread through the Dominion ranks. Their commander immediately rejected the duel results. He claimed trickery and demanded surrender. When the council refused, the Dominion fleet opened fire on the capital. The sky exploded with light. Defense shields collapsed within minutes. Buildings vanished beneath orbital bombardment. Alliance forces fought desperately through the streets, while civilians fled deeper underground. Elias joined the battle without hesitation. He moved through the ruined city like a ghost of war, leading exhausted defenders from one shattered district to another. Small groups of soldiers rallied around him despite barely knowing his name. Word of the duel spread rapidly. People whispered strange phrases across the shelters. The human killed Vark. The human still fights. The human refuses to fall. Hope returned little by little. During the second night of fighting, Dominion troops landed near the central reactor district. If they captured the reactor, the remaining city shields would die forever. Elias gathered less than 40 defenders. Most carried damaged weapons. Several were barely old enough for combat. None planned to retreat. The Marines studied the dark streets ahead, while explosions thundered across distant towers. "We hold here," he said. A young alien soldier looked at him nervously. "There are hundreds coming." Elias checked his rifle magazine. "Then they'll have hundreds of funerals." The battle for the reactor lasted 7 hours. Dominion forces attacked in endless waves through smoke and burning debris. Elias turned every street into a trap. He collapsed bridges onto enemy armor, flooded tunnels with reactor steam, and used broken drones as moving explosives. The defenders fought beside him with growing determination. Whenever fear spread, the human appeared where the line weakened most. Whenever soldiers prepared to surrender, the human charged forward instead. By dawn, the streets around the reactor were covered with ruined machines and abandoned weapons. The Dominion assault had failed. Only 12 defenders remained alive. Elias was one of them. The surviving soldiers looked toward him with stunned respect. The Marines sat quietly against broken concrete, while medics sealed wounds across his arms and chest. One defender finally asked the question everyone carried: "Why keep fighting when defeat seems certain?" Elias stared toward the burning horizon. "Because someone has to stand long enough for others to rise." Hours later, long-range scanners detected something massive entering the outer system. The human warship Resolute had finally arrived. The vessel dwarfed every ship in orbit. Its dark hull stretched across space like a moving fortress. Heavy cannons rotated slowly toward the Dominion fleet, while fighter bays opened across both sides. Cheers erupted through the shelters of Karth Prime. The Dominion commander demanded immediate identification. The answer came through every communication channel. "This is Captain Nolan of the Earth Warship Resolute. You are assaulting a protected Alliance world. Withdraw now." The Dominion commander laughed bitterly. "You arrived too late, humans. Your champion already died with the rest." Captain Nolan frowned. "What champion?" Before the alien commander could answer, another transmission interrupted the channel. Static flickered across damaged screens. Then Elias appeared, bruised, exhausted, still alive. "Sorry, Captain," he said calmly. Traffic was rough. For several seconds, complete silence filled every frequency. Then laughter exploded across the human fleet. Not mocking laughter, proud laughter. The kind shared by soldiers who finally understood the impossible situation before them. Captain Nolan shook his head slowly. "You fought the Dominion champion alone?" Elias nodded once. "Killed him too." The bridge crew behind Nolan stared in disbelief. One officer whispered softly, "Of course he did." The Dominion commander suddenly realized something terrible. The lone Marine who had devastated his invasion was not humanity's greatest warrior. He was only one soldier. Fear entered his voice for the first time. "How many humans are aboard that ship?" Captain Nolan smiled. "Enough." The battle that followed lasted less than an hour. The Resolute unleashed overwhelming firepower against the exhausted Dominion fleet. Human fighters tore through enemy formations while Alliance survivors launched counterattacks from the surface. Without their champion, Dominion morale shattered quickly. Ships fled in every direction. Several surrendered immediately. Others burned across the stars. When the final enemy vessel escaped hyperspace, silence returned to Karth Prime. The war was over. Rescue teams flooded the ruined cities while survivors emerged slowly from underground shelters. Across the planet, one name spread faster than any military report: Elias. Children painted his image across shelter walls. Soldiers repeated stories of the reactor battle. Civilians gathered around damaged screens just to watch recordings of the arena duel again and again. Yet the Marine avoided celebrations whenever possible. 3 days later, Captain Nolan finally found him sitting alone near the ruined arena where Vark had fallen. Repair drones moved through the distance while cold wind crossed the broken stone. "You became famous," Nolan said. Elias sighed quietly. "That sounds exhausting." The captain sat beside him. "You know, the Alliance Council wants to build statues." "That sounds worse." For a while, both men watched workers clear debris from the battlefield. Then Nolan spoke again. "You understand what happened here, right?" Elias looked over. "You want more than a battle." Before today, most species admired humanity because of our ships and weapons. Now they fear us for another reason. The Marine remained silent. Nolan continued carefully. "They learned what one human can do alone. Far above the planet, the massive warship Resolute waited among the stars like a guardian watching over the wounded world. But across the Alliance, people no longer spoke most about the ship that arrived late. They spoke about the warrior who arrived first.